In the world of fantastical beasts and cinematic titans, two colossal forces stand tall. The Red Death from How to Train Your Dragon and Godzilla, the reigning king of the monsters. These creatures, born from very different mythologies and universes, represent raw power, unmatched size, and absolute dominance in their realms. But what if these titans were to clash? What if the fire-breathing alpha dragon of Berk took on the atomic-powered giant from the depths of the sea? First, let us meet our contenders. The Red Death is an enormous dragon, the final antagonist of the first How to Train Your Dragon film. She is at least 120 meters long and stands over 30 meters tall. Her wings span wide enough to shadow an entire battlefield, and she breathes a sustained stream of fiery destruction. Her power lies not only in brute strength, but also in the psychological manipulation of other dragons, summoning them as unwilling servants by emitting a controlling homing signal. On the other side, we have Godzilla, a legend with countless iterations. He has evolved over decades, appearing in films from 1954 to the modern-day Godzilla vs. Kong. Depending on the version, his height ranges from 50 meters to an astounding 300 meters tall. Godzilla is not just muscle and rage. He is a nuclear powerhouse, capable of withstanding attacks from tanks, jets, kaiju, and even weapons of mass destruction. His iconic atomic breath is a weapon, so potent it can bore through mountains and obliterate city blocks. So, what happens when the fiery alpha of the skies meets the king from the deep? Let us dive into the clash of Red Death versus Godzilla. Physical power and scale, size matters in a kaiju showdown. The Red Death is massive by dragon standards, dwarfing most other species in her world. Standing over 30 meters tall and stretching over 120 meters in length, she dominates her volcanic domain. Her wings are capable of generating huge gusts, and her weight alone creates seismic tremors when she moves. Against most creatures in Berk, she is invincible. But Godzilla redefines massive. In his modern MonsterVerse iteration, Godzilla towers at around 120 meters with an ultra-dense, muscular frame that weighs hundreds of thousands of tons. Even in his smaller Showa or Millennium forms, he's still significantly taller and heavier than the Red Death. His thick, armor-like skin is resistant to gunfire, missile strikes, and plasma-based attacks. Red Death. His wings may allow her to fly and deliver aerial strikes. But Godzilla's grounded power brings with it stability and resilience. He can rip through buildings, fight kaiju multiple times his size, and walk through nuclear-level explosions. In terms of raw size and durability, Godzilla holds the upper hand. However, Red Death, as airborne abilities grant her agility in the sky, a major advantage against a landlocked opponent. She could strike from above, using fire blasts and swooping attacks to disorient her foe. But that advantage only works if she stays out of range of Godzilla's devastating beam attacks, weaponry, and special abilities. Red Death. As primary weapon is her fiery breath, a long, sustained blast of flame capable of torching dozens of dragons mid-air. Her firepower can incinerate fleets and vaporize solid rock. She also has the ability to manipulate lesser dragons by releasing a sonar-like call, commanding them to do her bidding. This makes her a tactical threat on the battlefield, not just a physical one. Godzilla, however, is a walking apocalypse. His atomic breath is vastly more destructive than Red Death's flame, concentrated into a laser-like beam that can tear through enemy hide, buildings, and even the earth as crust. In Godzilla vs. Kong, we saw this breath carve a hole to the hollow earth, a testament to its devastating power. In addition, Godzilla has survived direct hits from nuclear warheads, the Oxygen Destroyer, and other specialized anti-kaiju weapons. In some versions, he can absorb nuclear energy, increasing his strength mid-battle. His regeneration capabilities are also remarkable, healing from wounds in moments, allowing him to outlast most opponents. In contrast, Red Death's wings are a known weak point. In the original film, a Night Fury's plasma blast shattered her wing and caused internal detonation, ultimately bringing her down. If Godzilla targets those same weaknesses with his atomic breath, the result could be catastrophic for Red Death. Tactics, intelligence, and combat style. Intelligence is often underrated in monster battles. The Red Death is cunning in her own right, using fear to control entire species of dragons and manipulate her environment. She creates a fear-based ecosystem where dragons feed her under threat of death. Her lair is a well-guarded volcanic stronghold, and she knows how to exploit fear for control. But when it comes to tactical brilliance and learning mid-battle, Godzilla is the true strategist. In multiple versions, Godzilla has outsmarted enemies, adapted to their tactics, and used the environment to his advantage. The Showa Godzilla was especially cunning, using tools, learning from experience, and setting traps for his enemies. Even the brute force MonsterVerse Godzilla showed adaptability, overpowering King Ghidorah, Muto, and Kong, using both raw strength and clever tactics. He can sense energy signatures, track his enemies, and exploit weaknesses. Red Death, for all her size and intimidation, lacks maneuverability and is relatively slow. In an open battlefield, she would have to rely heavily on surprise aerial strikes and ranged fire attacks. But Godzilla, especially versions like Burning Godzilla or 2021 Godzilla, can match or exceed that firepower with much greater durability. Battle scenarios and environment advantage let us explore different battlefields. In a volcanic lair, Red Death is natural territory. She holds a clear advantage, her firepower is enhanced, she has high ground, and the terrain favors her aerial mobility. If Godzilla invades her lair, he might be at a disadvantage due to limited movement and elevated exposure to attacks from above. But what if the battle takes place near the ocean or in a cityscape? That's Godzilla's domain. In coastal regions, he can retreat into the sea to recover, ambush from beneath, or use water as a buffer against fire attacks. In a city, he uses buildings and terrain as cover and has the advantage of familiarity with urban warfare. In open fields or plains, the match becomes even more intriguing. Red Death might attempt to keep distance and rain down fire. But once Godzilla closes the gap, the outcome tilts in his favor. A single direct hit from his atomic breath to her wings or chest could neutralize her flight advantage and ground her permanently. Also worth noting is stamina. Godzilla is built for prolonged battles and has survived multi-hour fights. Red Death, by contrast, hasn't been shown enduring extended combat against equally powerful opponents. The final verdict. So, who wins in a battle between Red Death and Godzilla? The answer depends on which Godzilla shows up. If it's the 1998 Twister version, or even the original 1954 Godzilla, Red Death might stand a chance, using her size, flight, and firepower to dominate. These Godzillas lack the advanced durability and firepower of later versions. However, if we are talking about the MonsterVerse Godzilla, Heisei era Godzilla 1995, or Final Wars Godzilla 2004, the Red Death does have much hope. These versions are faster, stronger, more durable, and come equipped with weapons and regeneration abilities that outclass Red Death in every way. Even the most basic of these Godzillas have enough durability to withstand Red Death flames and respond with a blast that could rip through her internal organs. So, while the Red Death may be the apex predator of her world, she falls short against the Atomic Titan. In this ultimate clash of titans, the crown remains with the King of Monsters, winner, Godzilla. Check out my other videos for more epic character crossovers and battles. Thanks for watching, and stay happy and healthy.